The war had chewed up the stars. What had once been a bright tapestry of trading routes and cultural exchanges between the Coalition and the Terran Alliance had turned into smoldering wreckage scattered across systems. Planets became military assets. Hospitals became triage tents. And medics, both alien and human, were just cogs, always trying to stitch back together the broken before the next round of planetary bombardment began. Corporal Elias Crane, a field medic with 12 years under his belt and the scars to prove it, no longer felt much. Not grief, not fear. Only exhaustion. The kind that clung to the bones and whispered at night. He was stationed in the ruins of Vecra 4. A jungle moon that had changed hands 3 times in as many weeks. The last Coalition retreat had been hasty, leaving behind corpses, equipment, and apparently one of their own. Elias found her at the edge of an old comms outpost, huddled beneath a shattered signal dish. At first he thought she was dead, another casualty in the mud. But then she moved, a faint flicker of motion under layers of debris. Her uniform was ragged, clearly not Terran. Her 4-fingered hands trembled as she tried to lift herself. Her skin, a soft lavender hue, was slick with blood, some of it hers, some not. She looked up at him with luminous silver eyes, wide with confusion and fear. "Don't shoot," she rasped in galactic common. "I'm just a nurse." Elias raised his rifle, then lowered it after a long beat. He exhaled through his nose, kneeling. "You're lucky I don't care enough to pull the trigger anymore," he muttered. Her name was the Lay, and she had been part of a Coalition evac unit. Her evac shuttle had taken off during a retreat, assuming she was dead after a nearby explosion. They hadn't checked. Elias hesitated only a moment before hoisting her into a hover stretcher and hauling her back to his small underground triage bunker. It wasn't mercy. Not really. He just couldn't stomach letting another healer die alone. The Lay didn't trust him at first. Understandably. Despite the war's waning years, tensions ran thick. Soldiers like Elias had seen friends die to the plasma rifles of her kind. And she, likewise, had watched Terran orbital strikes flatten hospitals. But neither of them were soldiers anymore. Not really. Just people who had seen too much. He treated her wounds with practiced indifference. Torn ligaments, cracked ribs, lacerations. She was tougher than she looked, resilient in a way that both surprised and unsettled him. She'd likely saved dozens, maybe hundreds, before being left behind like garbage. "You don't talk much," she said one evening after managing to sit up for the first time. Her accent was light, melodic. Elias shrugged. "Words don't do much out here. And yet you used them to keep me alive." He gave a dry chuckle. "Don't flatter yourself, alien. Just another body to fix." She smiled despite herself. "Then why did you save me?" "I don't know," he replied truthfully. "Maybe I was tired of digging graves." Days passed. Then weeks. The Lay recovered slowly, and in turn, began assisting with the steady stream of wounded that filtered into the makeshift clinic. Elias was wary at first, but she worked with a calm efficiency he came to respect. She used herbal coagulants from local plants. Her species' knowledge of neural pathways helped mitigate pain more effectively than Terran morphine in some cases. They learned to operate side by side, an unlikely duet of tired hands and quiet endurance. One night, after the last patient had been sedated, Elias sat outside, staring at the broken sky. The stars looked more like shrapnel than beacons now. The Lay joined him, her gait still uneven but improving. "You always sit here," she noted. "Same spot. Same hour." "Habit," he replied. "This was my brother's post. We signed up together." He died out here 2 years ago. I'm sorry, she said softly. He nodded. He was the talker. Always found a reason to laugh, even when our quarters flooded or a grenade went off too close. Then he took a sniper's round trying to rescue a child. Elias looked at her, really looked. You remind me of him. Her silver eyes shimmered, not with tears, but with understanding. That's the cruelest thing about war, she murmured. It makes healers into ghosts before they die. For the first time in months, Elias felt something crack inside his chest. Not pain. Not grief. Recognition. Conflict. The war wasn't over, though peace talks were rumored. But rumors didn't keep drop pods from falling. A week later, a scouting team of Terran soldiers arrived. Fresh, cocky, and loud. Elias immediately disliked them. When they found the lay in the medbay, tension exploded. What the hell is that thing doing here? One of the soldiers, a private named Jarek, barked. You're harboring the enemy. She's a nurse, Elias said firmly. Saved more lives than you've even seen bleed. I don't care if she's the damn Messiah, Jarek snapped. Orders are clear. No coalition assets are to be given aid. Elias stood his ground. She's not an asset. She's a person. And I outrank you, Private. But it didn't matter. That night, they dragged the lay from the bunker. Elias awoke to the sound of shouting, stumbled outside, and saw her on her knees, hands bound, blood trailing from her temple. The soldiers were laughing. She's got intel, Jarek said when Elias tried to intervene. We're taking her to Central Command. No, you're not, Elias said, voice low. I don't take orders from medics, Jarek sneered. You do when I have a gun to your gut. The silence that followed was absolute. Elias had drawn his sidearm. Not shaking. Not bluffing. You touch her again, he said, and I'll open your stomach like a field kit. Try me. After a long moment, the other soldiers stepped back. Jarek spat in the mud. You'll be court-martialed for this. After the war ends, Elias replied. If we survive that long. He carried the lay back into the bunker himself. She passed out in his arms, murmuring in her native tongue. That night, Elias didn't sleep. He stood watch, gun loaded, eyes never leaving the entrance. Ending. The next day, orders came through. The war was over. Not a victory. Not a defeat. Just over. The coalition and the Terran Alliance had signed a ceasefire. Troops were to stand down. Prisoners were to be returned. Combatants were to be processed and reassigned to rebuilding units. Jarek and his crew were pulled out within hours, growling as they left. Elias filed no report. Let command figure out its mess. The lay healed. Fully this time. And when the transports came to collect former coalition personnel, she stood at the shuttle ramp and looked back at him. They'll take me home, she said quietly. I'll be safe. Maybe even reassigned as a physician. Elias nodded, arms folded. Good. You deserve rest. So do you. He scoffed. I don't know what that is anymore. She hesitated, eyes searching his face. Come with me. He blinked. Excuse me. You've done enough dying here, she said. Enough watching others break. My people might not welcome you immediately, but I would. He looked at her, jaw clenched. A dozen images flashed. His brother's grin. The wounded children. The trench burns. The way the lay hummed softly while stitching wounds. The way she looked at him without fear. He stepped forward and took her hand. The shuttle rose toward the stars. Not all war stories ended in medals. Some ended in quiet cabins on strange new worlds, where a human me